But first, it is a privilege also to welcome to the program in person one of the country's most distinguished voices in the field of theoretical physics and popular science, Dr. Michio Kaku. It's such a pleasure to have you here. I've been a fan for a long time, so it's an honor. Professor Kaku's most recent book, it's The God Equation, The Quest for a Theory of Everything. So first of all, Dr. Kaku, tell us, you watched the special. What do you make of these claims? Do you find them believable?
Well, first, I think Elizondo has done a public service by releasing this mountain of classified data, which gives us hard numbers for the first time. We now know for the first time that these objects can drop 80,000 feet within a matter of a few seconds. Our aircraft can't do that. These things can zigzag, creating G-forces that would crush anything metallic. In other words, they're probably robots of some sort inside these objects. They can even go underwater. However, there are limits to what he said. For example, the dead bodies. We have yet to see alien DNA. That would clinch it right off the bat. Right off the bat, that would clinch the whole debate. Alien technology, alien transistors, we don't have that. People talk about that, but we have yet to see evidence of alien technology that we scientists can then dissect in the laboratory. That's a weakness of his story.
How would we even know, though, if it's alien DNA? Would we have a way of figuring it out? Because in the special, he mentions that the biologics, as they call them, got passed around from government agency to government agency.
Yes, well, we know quite a bit about how computations are done mechanically through abacuses and different kinds of devices, including transistors, which require electricity. So if we get alien technology, they would probably be atomic. They would probably have a whole new way of dealing with computation. So immediately we would know that it's extraterrestrial. But no one has given us alien DNA, alien transistors, alien technology that would end the debate right then and there.
Right. Yeah, we want to see it with our own eyes. That's what I think is so interesting. The video released by the Pentagon, which you were alluding to, the Tic Tac, that's stuff that we can actually see. Right. That we can't explain, that we know exists. In terms of the biologics, we still haven't seen it, but it's interesting in the special, they showed a photo of what they say is believed to be something that was inside a human body that may have been put there. I want to play this part again just so people can see it, and then we'll talk about it.
We came across information that suggested that people were having things put inside their body that they did not give approval to.
So right? People have been taken away from their homes in the middle of the night and had things planted in them.
Something that was put inside their body, something invasive, right? Something that was not put there by their permission to do something.
You've seen one of those implants, haven't you?
I have been privy to some very interesting things.
This photo, he says, shows one of those interesting things. It's allegedly a biological sample removed from a US service member and submitted for analysis. This is possibly an alien implant.
Well, if you look, there's actually a piece of the chip sticking out and what appears to be these fibers that were moving on their own. And then it looks like this chip or whatever this is, this foreign object, is encapsulated by some sort of biological material.
This is like where I think I get a little skeptical. What do you make of that? I mean, is this believable to you?
The smoking gun would be DNA evidence. No one has done a DNA sequence of that, so who knows? It could be organic, it could be a mutation of the person's own body. But we can decide by analyzing the DNA of that. So I wonder, how come it hasn't been done already? It should have been done years ago, and so there's no more guesswork because we have the technology to decide what is extraterrestrial and what is not.
Do you think it's possible that it has been done, but just in secret? That, you know, there are these secret government programs, that they've got these things, they're testing them, and they've just managed to keep it out of the public eye?
It's always possible that the government is hiding something. I mean, how do you disprove a negative like that? You can't. However, take a look at this object. This object was there for public viewing. Anyone could have taken a little piece of that and then analyzed the DNA to decide where it came from. So that's what I'm saying. We have to use high-tech technology in order to understand exactly what alien technology is about.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.